It is, Paul. Thank you so very much. Okay, and so now we are not necessarily going to pivot or shift. I would like you, if you need to, you can, of course. But as we always like to do, why do we do this? We breathe to come back to what we know. So I invite you to breathe, breathing in and exhaling out. This gets us very in touch with stillness and with our bodies. Brings things down, doesn't it? Doesn't it just break things very simply into what is? And so again, we breathe. And we remember to keep doing this in this next about 20 minutes or so. However long this portion goes on, we will see how spirit moves. And in fact, I want to really, let's go there, everyone. Let's really, let's push back the veil and recall and remember what Source is telling us. I'm going to say us, what God is, how God is guiding us, how love is being us, how love is being with us. It is the spirit of transformation that must be descending upon this. It isn't that we are in Zoom boxes. We are together in this. And so it is the spirit of transformation that we affirm right now. It is happening now. We don't seek it. It is happening now. That's what's going down now. We don't seek to commit to transformation. We don't hope for transformation. We transform now. And that is the end of the sermon. No, it's not. We'll stay here a little while longer. And in the spirit of transformation, I have to ask you, as we've been doing this lately, opening things up for you all to share if you feel called. I'm going to ask you something and be very honest, please. Is how many of you really love change? And I'm talking about the change. I'm talking about the change that it can be uncomfortable. Usually it is. Like I'm talking about the big changes, both personally and in the world. How many of you, from the most honest core place, really invite that kind of change? And you like it? And so when you're ready, we'll sit Quaker style till someone speaks, and we will all be present to that person speaking. You can come off mute.
I have to speak to that right away. So yeah, I don't. But I gotta say, although I'm not super fond of change, because I've learned to love change. It's taken time for me. You know, it's not something I know is gonna be what I want, but it might be something I need. So I know that that's what I feel. When it comes to do you love it or not from an honest place, at least. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, I hear it. It's understandable. Others, how do you like that kind of change that may hurt even, but it changes something inside you so radically? How do you feel about that, really and truly?
I don't like change when it comes to things that I didn't like it when my tree fell. I don't like how my house looks now. I don't like that kind of change, but when it comes to things in the world that need to change, I love that.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this?
I'm not sure how I want to approach this exactly.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of change in my life always. And I do feel like I would be bored without that change. I like experiencing lifestyles that I've not known before. I just have this curiosity and discovered that I can meld into many different lifestyles and learn and understand from different perspectives that way. And yeah, I do like change. Now, I had a tree, I lost a Joshua tree in my front yard, and that still bothers me. That's not good change, but I embrace change.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else before we go further?
Change is something which is I am not always easy with, but I understand that importance of it, and it's just a gap. I'm alive at this time when change seems like it's definitely on the horizon, and being alive at this time, well, that's a gamble I'm willing to take. Here I am. So it's important to understand change is something which can put everybody on an even keel and actually get us to talk to one another and see each other in a different light.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much what's needed right now. And I just don't like the idea of winners and losers. It's really that definitely needs to change. That when people undergo through change, whether they're losing something or gaining something, that it's seen in those terms. Because perhaps we're gaining something else that we're losing, or we're losing something that we're gaining. So that's something which I think is, when we're talking about change that we're talking about, I think those two words really have no place in the conversation, because that's the mindset we're trying to get to do away with. Am I right?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Is there someone else that would like to add or tack onto that has not spoken? It's not required, but I'd like to make space here.
Yeah, I'd like to speak with that. I actually, I do like change, but I like the kind of change that is transformational. I like the process and being able to see how people digest, how they process, how they talk about, how they are challenged by, how they are energized by change. So it's, for me, it's all of those things, and being able to engage people in that change process, I think, is what I really enjoy most, even if it is difficult or even if it is enlightening, that we're all going through that process together and can be, we can sort of feed off of each other in a way that helps one another. So,
Yeah. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you. Okay. So, I recall, I'd like to share a story before we go any further. And I also, I want to lift up what the theme is that we are really exploring, so we're clear. And that is the fourth sentence of the vision statement of the Revolution of Love, which you heard Trevor speak not that long ago. But that fourth sentence is, we transform through a heart and mind opening experience. semicolon, and we claim the divine responsibility and honor to be change agents in the world. Tonight, we will focus on the first part before the semicolon, and that is that we transform. We transform through a heart and mind opening experience. And we're going to talk, I don't know what that is when I do that. We're going to talk about the heart. Kidding aside, we're going to talk about the heart. And I sometimes don't like even saying that because it sounds so, it just sounds so simple and I don't know, just so wimpy and passive, for lack of words. That's just, and it's a heart opening experience is anything but those things. Recall now, family, recall when I went through the kind of love that we are talking about at the Revolution of Love. Remember how we broke it down and we talked about what love often creates for people. What it often reminds people of is pain and sadness and trauma and wounds of years gone by or present, or the fear of more wounding. And so please stay with me that if someone says we transform through a heart opening experience, we'll leave it there. We won't go to the mind tonight. We transform through a heart opening experience. I believe on an existential level, there is going to be for many a resistance. If someone says, well, if it was that easy, my God, we would do it. We would all just simply zip and open our hearts. Now, some of you may be wired like that. Some of you may have very easy, accessible, available, strong, sturdy hearts, and you just love, 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 love. Now, some of you, however, may live from that place and you've gotten burned and you feel exhausted, you feel fatigued, something called for compassion fatigue even maybe, and you think, what's the point of living from a place of open heart anyway? What is the point of that? Still others of you may not reside in that camp, or the actually two different camps. You may reside in the camp of, I see like a person behind a wall and a wall and a wall, and maybe barbed wire and maybe a moat, and way back there. Very isolated and very an isolative experience of this life. So transforming through a heart opening experience, again, it can bring things up. That's natural. It would make sense that would create that feeling could be created, I should say. So how do we transform? And to be abundantly clear, why does it matter? Because when and if we do say yes to take the charge to transform, we will be that much more able and equipped to get out there and create the change and bring justice in the world, bring peace and bring justice in the world, bring equity in the world for everybody. Oh, I didn't tell you the story. I'm going to go to that right now. When I was working, no, pardon me, it was volunteer. There was a time where I used to go into USC County in Los Angeles, and I would lead panels of folks that were recovering alcoholics and addicts. And we would go in Sunday nights, I believe it was. And the folks that were in USC County, it was a tough place. There were like 2 security checkpoints just to get in. And you'd see a lot. And the people that were in the beds, the patients, they didn't have anyone. Mostly you didn't see family or friends coming around. They were alone. They were at the end of their addiction oftentimes, and they would most likely or probably die. So we would go there, and in a way it was just to give them some peace, to give them some love, to give them some support. I remember one time I walked into a room with, there was a group of us, and I was very young at the time, and I meant well. And I said to this man that was really ailing, that was on the threshold, dying of, I believe, alcoholism. And I said, you're loved. You're loved. You're not alone. We love you. And I assumed wrongly that his reaction would be a reaction of receiving. And he went, it was as though like I put sandpaper on a wound. And I didn't fully understand it until sometime later. And I realized that not everybody can handle that. And it was heartbreaking for me. The more I started seeing that around, whether it was in my personal life or whether that was in the world, it was very tragic to see that. And then I thought, well, how do we change that? How do we change that? We do sort of, as Taylor X let us began tonight here, saying you matter, you're a big deal. We value you. I said that a couple of Sundays ago when we talked about embracing you where you are at, the second line of the vision statement, that we value you. All of these things are, yes, to nourish ourselves, our vessels, but there's more. And I don't know if I always say this, and this is important. As I prepared for this tonight, I realized this isn't to just feed all of you and feed us, feel really good about ourselves. This is so we can get our shit together. Sorry, mom and dad, I don't like it when I swear, but to get our shit together so we really take up the charge and bring this justice that we always talk about, that this revolution of love was birthed into or by or through, to create the change, to be the change agents in the world. So not merely usurping and eating, and yes, it is good if you're getting nourished and you're getting nurtured here, wonderful. And it is also, so you take that revolutionary stance and you remember exactly who you are, and you remember why you are, that you may bring that joy, that love, that magnificence, that peace, that healing, that you fill in the blank into the world. This is what we mean tonight by the spirit of transformation. It is not solely about us and merely what we can receive. It is to get all of us up to that point where we can spring forth. I pray that you feel this. I pray that there is a real stirring in your souls as you hear this. I hope I'm getting it across. Feel free in the chat if it makes sense to you. We don't have time to be that person where it's like sandpaper, where we can't receive. And we don't have time to be so depleted either, where we can't bring that love, that high heart love, that truth into the world in a very bold way. We got to get it together. And I'm all about process, and I'm all about therapy, and I'm all about going through the childhood wounds and the family of origin, and I'm all about it. And the time is now, tonight. And that's why I said at the top, we don't seek to transform. We don't say, oh, well, maybe. Oh, well, I think so. No, we transform. Believe it. Believe it. Flushing it out a little more now. Let me flush it out a little bit more. Another way I believe, this is what hit me again as I prepped. Another way I believe, dig it, that I think it becomes easier to have a heart opening experience is to not look at it like you're just opening your heart. So for those of you that may be afraid of that kind of change, you know, that might have that fear of people, and maybe rightly so, or fear of new experiences, and maybe rightly so. It's not about unzip, open heart. No. It's about one's heart being available and accessible and ready. Having a heart, see, feel the flip now. Open heart instead to having a heart that is available, that is accessible, that is ready. And in the spirit of David and Margaret and their body prayer that they do with the Revolution of Love Blessing, this is what I saw. A heart, instead of open for anything in the world to bombard you and hurt you, where you shut down again or where you feel exhausted. No, it's a heart that is available. A heart that is accessible. A heart that is ready. A heart that is available. And you can do this with me. Please, it's important to feel and to come back into our bodies. So when we say a heart that is available, it's you are connecting with your imago Dei, if you want to call it that, yourself, simply a heart that is available. And then switch, a heart that is accessible. This is moving now to people that you may meet, situations where you may need to move some energy, situations where you may just need to be more accessible. A heart that is accessible, a heart that is accessible. And then a heart, feel the shift and the fire in this now, a heart that is ready. And you can move that, maybe, I don't know, you can move that in different ways. If it play around with this. A heart that is available, a heart that is accessible, and a heart that is ready. This is so different than saying, I need to have an open heart, or I need to trust people more, or I need to, no, a heart coming back to what is true, coming back to love, coming back to your peace, coming back to awareness, coming back to presence. All of these things right there, bam. You're somewhere, it doesn't feel safe, it doesn't feel right, there's something amiss, there's something afoot. A heart that is available, a heart that is available. And then to be aware, to not be that sandpaper, oh, that kind of thing. No, you come into a place of accessibility, a heart that is accessible. The heart that is accessible. So that we may have hearts that are ready. This is the excitement when Margaret was talking about change and transformation. This is exciting. This is, I say it a lot, I know, where we need to go. And I believe if we merely just flip everything, flip it around instead of going, oh, wow, I got to be so open. I mean, that's exhausting. Who the hell needs that anyway? Instead, we have a heart opening experience that includes this availability, that includes this accessibility, that includes this readiness. See that? That just feel this. This feels so birthright. This is what is afoot right now. This is what's going on right now. Even in the midst of all of this trauma and tragedy in the lands of Israel and Palestine, and all of this unrest and tumult, and right here, I don't want to negate anything that's going on, shootings, all of these different things. We must remember our availability and our access and our readiness and the choices that we have. How do we do this? There is still something that I feel I have to say around this, like, but how though? How can we really do this heart opening? How can we really transform this heart opening? And this is where I don't know what else to say to you, but then to say, look, what you believe in, you're going to need. Because there will come times in your life where no one and no thing is going to be able to go with you. There's going to be some moment, you've had it, I know you have, at maybe 3 a.m. where there is no one to call. And this is where I'm an eclectic, but I am a theist. Fill in the blank. This is where God's calling. This is where God comes in. However you believe in a higher power, a higher self, a highest love, Goddess, Allah, Buddha, Shiva, Vishnu, however, Jehovah, Shekinah, however you call it and however you believe in it, you are going to need it. There has come a time in your life. And, someone may be going through that time right now. And let's actually hold the space. If that person is you, and we lift up right now in prayer. Ooh. And we say that even in the dark night of the soul, that there is a glimmer and that there is a transformation that awaits you and that awaits us. It will help you and it will help us if we cling to source. It will help us if we strive for spirit. It will help us if we remember God with all its names, as we say here. It will help us in the process of being available, hearts accessible. and hearts ready. Do not be afraid. Do your best. These are incredible times that we are living in and living through. And we're not alone. You are not alone. We are powerful, transformational beings. We are designed to transform. This is the blessing for you tonight, for us tonight. And I invite you and I invite us to receive this holy, 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 holy. And so it is. And the people said, Amen, 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 Ashe. Yes. And so now I will